So hello SME Street viewers. As we know that the ICT has become the front runner of the digital economic reform journey, which we may call it, and government has a very well defined focus towards ICT and doing it's lot of efforts are getting implemented in terms of, in the shape of a policy or a framework or guidelines in order to just motivate organizations, private sector to adopt best ICT level practices. Now in that particular stream, we have seen Digital India. We have seen from the MSME perspective, we have witnessed Digital MSME scheme. The introduction of that scheme is a big. It holds a lot of potential of becoming a enabler. Now we have seen that the start of the Digital MSME scheme. And it's our honor to have Mr. Kunal Singhal with us, who is one of the early adopter and early mover towards getting empaneled on Digital MSME scheme. He is the MD of Eazy ERP, which actually is one of the first empaneled organization for the ERP component of Digital MSME scheme. So let's have Mr. Kunal's input in terms of how whole of this activity will gonna bring a positive transformation in the Indian economy, and how MSMEs are going to get the ultimate benefit from such schemes. Welcome, Mr. Kunal. How actually you look at as a player in this domain?
See, ICT role has definitely become all the more important, I would say, after demonetization stepping in, GST stepping in. Earlier, only the larger companies used to take ICT as a part of their policy, but after GST, I think even the smallest of the smallest organizations, micro and small companies, have understood that they cannot live without adopting the right technology and the right softwares. Government is playing its role to make it all the more acceptable and easy and affordable for these micro and small companies to adopt ICT, and that's probably where I feel Digital MSME scheme has been brought into the picture to bring that early adoption for all these MSMEs.
So Eazy ERP has been one of the front runner of bringing the private sector's interest in the Digital MSME scheme. What exactly made you take that decision? What attracted you towards that?
So when I first heard about the proposition for the Digital MSME scheme about 2 years ago, I was highly interested, because this is exactly something we were looking for, to bring in the interest in the SMEs to adopt more and more solutions. So we actively played our role along with TCIL and other recognized government dignitaries to first bring this policy in place, and by God's grace and by the efforts of the ministry, on 27th June this year 2017, finally the scheme was announced as an official scheme. After the announcement, again we found that the awareness of the scheme was not going wherever it is supposed to reach. Whichever association we were touching, we realized that they were not aware of the scheme. So we took this charge upon ourselves that along with whatever the government is doing in their efforts, we will on our own make sure that we make the awareness as far reached as possible, and that's where we are tying up with more and more industrial associations to make the public aware that such a scheme exists for them.
So as a challenge, if I have to ask you, while government has shown interest, while there are schemes getting introduced, what is the exact challenge at this moment in terms of adoption?
I would say there are three primary challenges that any MSME faces while selecting let's say I can talk about ERP solution, because we deal in the space of ERP. First and foremost is the vendor selection. So there's a market full of vendors and there's no way of accrediting any vendor what solution is good or what not. Here, at least for the first time, the government has taken the initiative of empaneling the vendors on a certain criteria. So now at least the MSME can be rest assured that these vendors which are empaneled by the government have already been scrutinized and already gone through certain criteria of selection, and they can trust upon them. So the trust factor is taken care of. Second definitely becomes the monetary cost part of it. So even in our solution, the way we were selling it earlier to the MSMEs, and now the way the pricing has been brought down by the ministry in terms of making it first of all a rental model. So solution which was earlier sold at let's say 8 to 10 lakh rupees is now available to an MSME for just 10,000 rupees a month. The same solution, the same quality, the same support is available at such a fraction of the price by the efforts of the ministry. And what we foresee is definitely the volumes will come in, and more people will adopt this, so we are also indirectly benefited by it. So, the vendor selection, the cost, and third is the availability of the internet and everything, which has become a little easier in the last few years by the efforts.
In terms of perception towards ERP, have you experienced, because before digital MSME scheme, did you experience anything, a kind of feedback from the potential customer base that ERP is still out of reach for us? In the MSME domain, what is your experience?
See, earlier the hitch with every MSME was one, again, the amount of the initial investment, and a lot of them have burnt hands with the wrong providers. So now with the pay-per-use and the monthly rental model, they can always take a risk of a 1 month or a 2 months cost, that if they don't like the solution, they can still leave it. Although that situation should not come, because the scrutiny by the government has already been done in selecting the vendors, and they're only selecting vendors who have a reasonable and a credible experience behind them. Newcomers are not allowed to come there. So this way, the MSME is also assured that they'll get good solution, and at a very practically a zero investment. They're not investing anything, just paying the rent of the monthly usage. They can use the solution.
So now, Eazy ERP is empaneled on digital MSME scheme. It is no doubt it's a big opportunity. But what are the kind of efforts, and how are you going to achieve the best result out of this particular opportunity?
Yeah, so I think the first step is definitely the awareness. As I already mentioned, people are not aware of the scheme. We go to the industrial associations also, they are not aware of it. So as an individual company, we have taken this initiative that we do more and more MOUs with industrial associations. We've already done with FICO in Ludhiana. We're tying up with CIC Rule in Ludhiana again. We've done the sessions in Varanasi, Bhopal, Halwani, Jaipur. So we're tying up with more and more industrial associations to bring awareness to their members, and then bring in the collective accounts together, so that they can get the maximum benefit of this scheme. We are also in talks with certain national level chambers on this. Once they come out, I'll be able to share their names, but the idea is to spread the awareness, and the interest is very amazing. As soon as the people come to know about it, they're more and more inclined that yes, we need to take benefit of it.
So just one more thing, in terms of the outcome, what are your expectations from schemes such as digital MSME?
See, if we talk in terms of expectations, there are close to about 55 million MSMEs in the country, and that's a huge number. The government with this scheme in itself is targeting to bring at least 5,000 MSMEs onboarded in the span of 2 years. We being the first ones to get empaneled with the system, at least aim that we get 500 MSMEs within the first year, and another 500 in the second year. So 1,000 MSMEs onboarded with Eazy ERP under the scheme for first year. In the past 1 month, we already onboarded 25 of them. And as we spread the awareness, the requirement is coming. So at least for ourselves, we've set this target that we get at least 1,000 MSMEs onboarded in the scheme.
I definitely wish you best of luck for this, and I hope that this will going to transform the the way digital transactions, the way digital financial books are getting transformed. Especially if you actually look at the kind of numbers, 50 lakh or 5 million MSMEs exist in the country, with 5,000 are actually been in the radar of getting this level of ERP, which is basically on cloud. So numbers and the approach is dynamic, and I hope that things will get
We look forward
towards
to
the
it.
positive transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Kunal,
Thank
for
you,
your time.
Faiz. Thanks.
Thank you.